Yeah, it was October 8th of 2010, and we were going bear hunting up by Gold Lake, Haskell Peak area, and it was just another day. We were bear hunting, we were also deer hunting. We had tags for both of them, but it don't really matter at this point. And we'd hunted most of the day, unproductive. We found one small buck, and my buddy, he was going to take it, and we talked about it, and they said, you know what, it's a young deer, let's let this one grow up. So we passed on that deer. Then we ended up going into another area, and we're coming around the corner. It's probably 5 o'clock. It's maybe hour and 15 minutes before legal shooting time ended. We came around this corner. Well, it's not really a corner. It's kind of like an open field, but it's a blind corner because you can't see past these trees. They make kind of a wall that goes along the side of the road, and then it all opens up. So it opens up, we're in this big field. We both look, and we see this thing at the same exact time. The truck stopped. I pointed my rifle at it. I had a 25-06. It's not normally a deer gun, but I killed plenty of bears with it. And I could see it through the scope. I had my scope on 16 power. I could see it pretty clearly. Everybody asked me, well, what was going through your head? Did you think it was a bear? I thought a lot of things. It wasn't that I was a skeptic. It was that I didn't know that anybody believed in Bigfoot at all. And we saw this creature that was walking on 2 legs, hairy. It looked, the best way I can describe it is it looked like a person in a suit. Probably 3 or 4 seconds had gone by, and it started to walk towards us. It's between 100 and 80 yards, somewhere in there, I don't know exactly. It started to walk towards us. Had his arms in the air like it was waving them, almost like, don't shoot, don't shoot. Kind of a universal thing. I think any language, anybody raises their hands, sign of surrender, say no shoot. I didn't know what it was. To me, it was just a monster. That's all it really was. I'm looking at this monster. By this time, I have a bullet in the chamber, finger on the trigger, and it's coming towards us. Slowly, just taking steps, waving. A lot of people said that I shot it in the back, by the way. So if you have a deer and you shoot it behind the shoulder, then you're going to penetrate both lungs. On a person, I guess it's just a hard area to describe, but it's basically right under the shoulder where your lungs are located. But on a bipodal animal, I guess it sounds a lot different when you say I shot behind the shoulder. So I'm squeezing off, maybe 5 seconds had passed, and my buddy, he says, don't shoot, don't shoot. It's not a bear. Do not shoot. And I'm still I'm just locked in on this thing. To me, it's a monster. That's all it was. When I'm locked in on this, and he knows that the gun's getting ready to go off, we've hunted together a lot over the years. And we both knew what was going to happen. Normally, when we see something, we're road hunting, but we do a lot of hiking too. Normally, when you see something, the truck stops, both of us get out, and we got our rifles on it immediately. Both of us. Doesn't matter what side it's on. Both of us are going to get out. Well, my buddy just pulled up his binoculars because he didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to think. And we're looking at this thing, and I'm pretty close to pulling the trigger. I've just been squeezing this whole time. And he's getting louder and louder. He's like, hey, bro, don't shoot, don't shoot. That is not a bear. That's a person in a suit. That's a person in a suit. Don't shoot. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, if it's a person in a suit, we got a real problem here. Because they're walking around during bear season with a furry suit on. Something don't add up about this. Halfway thinking in the back of my mind that maybe we're going to pull around the corner and it's going to be like a film crew or something. I don't know. My mind's going 100 miles an hour. But I see this animal, this furry thing. We're there to hunt. We're there to kill animals. And it was just a monster. So I pulled the trigger, and you could see dust shoot off the side of it. Like, I'd obviously made a really good hit. Definitely got it in the lungs. And it took off running. And then, just then, we see two, I guess you'd call them kids, or cubs or something, I don't know. The big one's almost out of sight. We know I made a good hit on it. And these two come running out. My buddy's like, holy shit, really? There's more of them. And so we drive the truck into the field as far as we can, maybe 30 yards, and then we take off running. We heard the thing crash, though. It crashed. It sounded like a car wreck. We knew we made a good hit. Very typical to shoot a deer. Had them run 50, 60, 70 yards and expire. So we run out there. My buddy doesn't even grab his gun. I mean, we're just running, trying to run over to this thing. And the cubs, they go just out of sight. And we run over there. And now we're face to face with these kids, probably 10 yards away or so. And we can't find the big one. So I decided I'm going to shoot one of the kids. Yeah, my buddy's like, no, do not shoot, do not shoot. Okay, all right. We'll just find the big one, and then we'll get it, and we'll leave. So we end up looking for 15 minutes or so. Meanwhile, the kids they're looking for their parent, obviously. They are walking around looking for their parent. And we knew we were looking in the right area then, because I made the mistake of shooting a sow pig. Well, a lot of people have. We tried to shoot boars, but it's legal to shoot a sow. And then the piglets come running out. And they always know right where their mom is. They take you to the body. I mean, it's a sick, sad thing, whatever. So we knew that it was right there. We just couldn't find it. It's an extremely brushy area. I mean, we could have looked for 2 weeks and not found it. So there's blood on the ground. We're kind of looking at the blood. We're walking around. We split up probably 10 or 15 times. He'd go one way, I'd go the other way, and the kids would do the same thing. They'd walk into the center of the open field, and they'd say something to each other. It sounded like deaf chatter, like they go, no, no. They'd say something to each other, and they'd split up. And then about a minute later, they'd come back, almost like, hey, have you seen anything? You seen anything? No, okay, yeah. Have you seen our parent? No, all right. So did you look over there? Did you look by the tree? Did you look by the stump? Yeah, I looked by the stump. Did you look by the tree? Oh, I'll look by the other tree. Like, they were saying something like that. So, but they didn't care that we were there. They were not alarmed at all. They were just there. And so, maybe 10, 15 minutes goes by or so. And I keep deciding that I'm going to shoot one of the little ones. I'm like, we'll shoot one of these, throw it in the back, and figure it out. And my buddy's like, no, that's terrible. Don't do that. There's no reason for that. There's absolutely no reason to do this. So at the time, just everything's running through my head. I'm thinking, well, if we don't get one of the little ones, nobody's ever going to believe us. And it's just going to be a crazy story. We just need to find the big one, and then we need to get out of here. So eventually, me and my buddy are split up, and one of them, I'm down this hill, and it's almost like straight uphill, maybe 15 yards away, maybe 20. And one of them, the little one, starting to approach me. He's getting closer. It's getting closer, starting to make some noise, like the deaf chatter thing. It's getting closer, and I was thinking, I don't know what's going to happen here, but he's going to get too close. It's way too close for comfort. Screw it. I'm going to shoot. So I shoot. I shoot it directly in the neck. I didn't want to mess up the skull or the face. And it rolls down the hill and actually it hits my feet, starts bleeding on my boots. Still alive. So I pick it up. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and then I'm starting to feel bad. I'm starting to realize, like, well, what have I done? What have I done? And that went on for a couple minutes. There's a lot of stuff that happened in there, but to summarize it, make a long story short, he died. And we decided that we were going to, then my buddy walked up, and he's like, "What have you done? Oh, my, seriously? Really? What have you done?" And so, yeah, fine, forget it, forget this. So I throw it on the ground, and I start walking back to the truck. And then I look back, and my buddy's holding it. Just holding it, sitting there staring at it. So I walk back to him, like, "Dude, we got to get out of here. Somebody just heard a shot. You know that somebody's going to show up, fishing game, we're going to get in so much trouble. We're going to go to jail. We need to get out of here. This is crazy. Let's go." And so we're like, okay, well, fine. Let's hide this, so we'll come back for it later. We'll come back. Okay, so we take it in the bush, get it as deep as we can, throw a bunch of stuff on top of it, and then we leave. Not saying a word. We actually drove out of there like probably 60 miles an hour on that dirt road. Just it doesn't make sense, but we were just afraid that we were going to get caught, we're going to get in trouble, something. So we drove down to Sierraville, to the closest anything really. We were just driving home, and we stopped, and both of us quit smoking in like the last 6 months. Gross habit, but we both walk in, get a pack of cigarettes without saying a word. He gets his brand, I get mine, and we drive all the way home without saying a word. Smoked the whole thing. Then he dropped me off. We never talked about it. A couple days later, I don't remember how much later it was, I got on taxidermy.net, which was a site that I'd been a part of for a couple of years, just trying to learn taxidermy. Made a couple friends on there. So I get on the site, and I'm trying to think of some way like I can talk about what happened. And so I make a post, and I say, "So if you saw a Bigfoot, would you shoot it?" That's all I said. And everybody's going back and forth. All these taxidermists, they're outdoor people. I mean, they live in the woods, typically. They've had a fascination with wildlife. They've hunted their whole life. So there was a bunch of guys on there, and they're like, "Oh, no, I've seen one, oh, I know they're real," and it turns into this really long topic. So maybe 20 pages goes by, and then I get on there and I just say, "Okay, well, hey, I'll tell you what, you can call bullshit if you want, I don't care, but I shot something that walked on 2 legs," and I leave it at that. Pretty much. I don't remember what I said exactly. I've never reread it. So everybody kind of just dismisses it. They just keep going on talking about nothing. It wasn't really a big deal. It sounded like a crazy bullshit story. And this guy, Ken Walker, he sends me an email and he says, "Hey, can I call you? I want to talk to you." I said, "Sure. Yeah, all right, give me a call." So he calls me, and I say, "All right, well, if you can keep this between me and you." All right, so I'll just tell you everything, man. So I told him the whole story, and I just wanted to tell somebody, because I couldn't talk to my buddy about it. I had to tell somebody. So I told him the whole thing. We get off the phone. I think it was maybe 20 minutes, an hour later or something. I could be off on the time, or maybe it was even the next evening. Derek Randalls calls me, and he says, "Hey, this guy Ken told me your whole story." I'm like, "Oh, did he?" Like, that was between me and him. Nobody's supposed to know about that. And from there, my phone started ringing. A bunch of people started calling. They wanted to talk to me. And Derek was the only one I really wanted to talk to, because we would just talk about hunting, and he was just trying to be my friend. He was trying to reach out to me. And everybody else they kind of seemed crazy. So I ended up telling Derek the whole thing over a period of like 2 weeks. I mean, I didn't really talk to him right away. He just called me and he left me a voicemail. "Hey, I'm a Sasquatch investigator and I want to talk to you." So we went back and forth. Over the next couple of weeks, I told him everything. And he said, "All right, well, I need you to get back up there, and I need you to get the body of the little one, or the big one. We've got to get this done you don't understand. And I was like, I don't think so, man. I don't think I'm going to go back there. And he's like, you don't understand. We've worked so hard for this. We need your help. You need to get up there. I'm just going to drive down there. How about I drive to your house? I'll drive you up there. But you're going to drive 12 hours? And he's like, yeah, no, this is so important. 27, 25 years, whatever it is, of research, and this is as big as it gets. This is the Holy Grail. So eventually I end up saying, all right, fine, I'll drive up there. And I'll get it, and then you can drive down and you can pick up the body. And so he said, okay. And so I put it off maybe a week or so. I'm busy with work. And I didn't really get what had happened. And Derek's calling me every day, seriously, you've got to get up there. You've got to get up there. Just call into work. This is so important. Like, there'll be money involved. There'll be everything. But more than that, we've been looking for this thing for so long, and now there's one sitting there. So, okay, all right, fine, I'll go get it. So me and the driver, I talked to him, and we're like, all right, well, let's go get this thing. So we get a bunch of trash bags, it's black contractor bags. We go up there, pick it up, and there's freaking 3 feet of snow on the ground. Maybe 2, I don't know. So we couldn't find it. I had my bloodhound with me. And she's usually pretty good at tracking. She's a hunting dog. So I take her out there, and she's acting like she just went to bed or something. She's acting so embarrassed. She's acting very timid. She's very bothered by the whole thing. And I'm trying to get her to find stuff. I don't know if it's the snow that's freaking her out, because I'm not sure if she had done it herself. And so it's good, and she's just acting weird. So eventually we just decided to gauge where we would dig, because we've been digging for like 5 or 6 hours. And running her through there. We figured out that there was 2 or 3 areas she really, really didn't like. She'd walk, in a straight line, and all of a sudden she'd turn around and walk the other way. So we based off of where we dug, off of the dog. So we find this flesh sample. Some people call it a steak. It doesn't look like a steak. It looks like a piece of hide. And some people say, if there's just no way that something like that would be there that long without the animals getting to it. And I think that's ridiculous, because if I shoot a deer, I take it to my house, butcher it, take it back up to the woods, drop it off, and a month later I'll go up there and you'll see bones, but you'll see pieces of hair, you'll see pieces of hide, you'll see blood, you'll see all that stuff. So I always thought that was a stupid thing for somebody to say. So we find it and end up sending a small portion of it, maybe an 1/8 of it, to Melbourne Catching. And here we are today.
So were there any bodies recovered that day, or any other day?
No. We've been back several times, probably been back up there 20 times, maybe more. We went with a group of researchers. We looked and we looked and we looked, and we couldn't find it. So there's a bunch of theories about, I guess, maybe they buried their young or something, or maybe something ate it. I don't know. I don't know what to think.
With that in mind, too, you guys never, once again, had contact or another sighting of the adult that was shot? You didn't have any more contact or sightings of that creature?
Right.
Okay.
I mean, we did find some, on one of my trips, we found some tracks from a larger one that had a younger one with it, and I had pictures of those tracks. But no.
Justin,
never saw it, never found it.
Justin, what was the time frame from the shooting till the first time you went back there to retrieve any type of bodies?
I don't know exactly. I don't have it written down or nothing. I'd probably say about 3 weeks, maybe between 3 weeks and 4.5 weeks, somewhere in there. If you were to weigh it, I don't know. It might be the whole sample. I'm just guessing here. I don't know, but it might be 2 pounds, and that's really, really, really pushing it, if there is. We ended up taking a sample, wrapping it in paper, freeze-drying it, putting a block of ice. It'll be exactly the same 20 years from now as it was when it was frozen. no air can get to it. There's no chance of freeze or burn. So taxidermists preserve stuff sometimes. And you're basically freezing it in a block of ice, and then it will remain exactly the same, literally in 20 years as the day it was frozen. So me and the driver split some of our sample up, and we're just seeing what happens.
Justin, where on the body was the sample taken from?
No idea. No idea.
Yeah, that was just...
From what I understand... go ahead, Steve.
No, if I recall, that you didn't actually find a body, you found just some pieces, basically.
Yeah, that's what I said, yeah. The number one question I get from people when I've met quite a few researchers and been around the scene for a while, and everybody's got this question. They always want to corner me. They want nobody to be around. And I say, you know what? I just got one question for you. Why didn't you put the little one in your truck? Like, I don't know. It bothers me every day. I have no idea. I'm so tired of that question. Because if I could go back in time, you're telling me that I had a winning lottery ticket, and then I burned it. But I lose sleep over it. It bothers me. I don't know. All I know is what was going through. I don't know what was going through my head. I was sitting there thinking, we got to get out of here. This is nuts. This is crazy. It was like a bad dream. And it actually was very much like a bad dream. It felt like once we got out of there, it was over. Because there was a while where it was really, really traumatic. And then you lose sleep enough, and you kind of forget about it. Every once in a while, I'll see like a little monkey or something in the zoo. I'm like, fuck, man, what did I do? Yeah, then I might lose sleep. Recently I saw this boxer with the dogs. Yeah, it just had this face that was really kind of similar to the young one's face. And I was just sitting there looking at this dog, just thinking, oh my God, like, what happened?
You told us that you'd viewed the adult through your scope for a few minutes, and but you didn't really get a close up view of the adult really, but you did happen to get a close up view of the smaller one, and I was wondering if you could describe any facial features, like could you tell us about the nose? I mean, was it shaped like a human nose, or was it sort of flat?
Well, I felt like I did get a good look at the big one, her, whoever, I don't know what it is. But, whatever it is. The face is burned in my mind, as much as any of them. But I did see the kid for an extremely long time. If I had to put it into words, the way I've been saying it is it looks like a little black kid. His face, human eyes, but it had the snout of a boxer and the lips of an ape. But it had the very closely resembled the snout of a boxer, but pushed in a little bit more. But the kids and the adults are different.
Right, so you're saying like around where the nose and the mouth area would kind of like protrude. Would that be similar to like a chimpanzee or an orangutan? Is that what you're trying to get at?
I'd say it's closer to a boxer, to the dog.
Because it was kind of flat.
Yeah.
The face was sort of flat.
I have a question too. Were the young ones spending most of the time running around on all fours, or were they running on 2 and 4s?
50-50.
50-50?
Yeah, I mean, they spend as much time on all fours as they did on 2 legs. They were drastically different color than the adult. The adult was the color of a pale coyote, like just a white coyote, a regular coyote, pretty much. Some of them are a little dark, but it's a lighter coyote. And the kids looked, they were cinnamon color. They were quite a bit darker.
Say, Justin, were they faster on all fours compared to when they were running on both legs, both feet?
They were definitely faster on all fours. Definitely. I mean, they had they had very long arms, and they had huge heads. Compared to, they basically had an adult-sized head on a kid-sized body, which is really hard to wrap your mind around. But and their hands were huge. I mean, they were the size of mine, but you put that on a little thing, it looks oddly proportioned. But the hands were calloused. I was saying that they had paws. And everybody was like, "What do you mean?" And then I looked at some kind of ape's hand. Like, I can't remember. Somebody posted a picture of it. I said, "Yeah, like that." And they said, "Those are hands, not paws." I'm like, "Well, they're calloused hands, and they're so calloused, it looks like paws. It looks like a pad. It looks like there's like two little pads on each finger and a big pad." And when I said that, I guess nobody really understood what I meant, or what I didn't word it in a good way. Because to me, yeah, they had paws. Their hands were very cushioned.
Do we have the driver on the line?
Yeah.
Because you were looking with the binoculars. So my guess is you probably saw it a little bit better than Justin did. Can you describe what you saw?
When I first looked at it, and my first thing I ever said, which we joke and laugh about every time because it sounds really stupid, but it looked like a person in a bear suit. The first time I looked at it, that's what it seemed like to me. It looked like someone had a bear suit on, but then had the face where the bear's face would be was not there. It looked more human. I don't even think it really looked ape-like at all. I think it looked more human, but I think it looked a lot more hairy in the face. There's lots of facial hair.
What would your description of the small one be? Was it similar to the adult, and now it appeared human-like, or in the face, or was there some other impression?
The little one,
right?
It didn't look exactly like the big one. They were different. The hands and the feet were huge, very abnormally shaped to the body. The head was huge, abnormally shaped to the body, but they did have more of a pointed face.
You actually lifted up the little one. How much would you say the little one weighed?
35 to 40 pounds.
And about how tall was the little one?
I'd say 3 feet.
Well, were any of the creatures saying anything?
The little ones were extremely vocal while we were searching for the big one. They were extremely vocal. The best way to describe it is like when a deaf person is trying to talk. But they were loud, they talked a lot, they would come back to each other, they would start making noises, and then they would run off different directions. And they did that probably 5 or 6 times.
They weren't communicating in English or anything, or nothing you could understand, right?
Correct, yes. I watched the shot enter the body of the big one, and I remember more visually the way the side, it looked like Jell-O. It rocked its sides. You could see like waves in the side of its body. And that picture sticks with me more than anything else, was when the bullet entered the big one.